Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Behind Closed Deals. This is going to be an impromptu episode that I decided to do in regards to Mental Health Awareness Month. And I wanted to associate that with mental health in real estate for all my fellow colleagues out there, all the agents that I've gotten to know across Canada, the United States, internationally, acknowledging that no matter what profession it is, but our focus today is going to be real estate, how important it is to take care of our mental health and to continuously be on top of it. I know it's easier said than done. I've been there and done that. And what makes me unique is that I've been in your shoes for many, many years, selling real estate in the corporate world and facing the stresses that come with our industry. One of the things that I truly believe, social media has really displayed an image of real estate agents as the happy-go-lucky, perfect life, driving beautiful cars, having nice clothes, attending luxury events, dealing with clients, closing deals, getting paid so much money on every transaction. But again, taking it back to the purpose of my podcast is they really don't know what happens behind the scenes and how difficult it is some days and how it can really affect your mental health. I remember when I first started selling real estate, you're on such a high when you're working with clients, buyers, sellers, you find them that house, you sell their property, they're happy, you're happy, but it's an emotional roller coaster. And then you get a call from a client who's unhappy or couldn't get a hold of you and takes you back to, what have I done? Like I was just so happy and I picked up this phone call. Now I'm so upset or I'm so sad. So I truly believe that, our industry is an emotional roller coaster. Unfortunately, not everybody has been afforded the gift of being able to deal with their stresses the same as others. And one of the things that I always go back and blame is the social media, because, social media portrays that image of us, but no one knows what's happening behind the scenes. But also it's an image that we feel that we have to give to the public. No one wants to work with a sad real estate agent. No one wants to work with someone who is struggling to get out of bed in the morning. It's something that we don't want to reveal about ourselves. But what I've gotten to know over the years, that the more you hold in, the more it's going to set you back. And for those of you that are, thinking about what kind of a mental breakdown or mental challenges that real estate agents go through, there have been many studies done on the mental stresses of real estate agents. High stress levels with real estate agents is because the nature of their work. You are on irregular hours all the time. You are expected to be readily available anytime the client needs you. And that's because, we aim to please as real estate agents. We don't want to let our clients down. We don't set boundaries, especially if you're not in a financial position to do so. So we allow our clients to really take over our time, our family's time, and that catches up to you, especially if you aim for a certain amount of family time. And our business is commission based. It's not like you go to work 9 to 5 and you're going to expect a paycheck at the end of the week or at the end of 2 weeks. It's if you sell a property or you help a buyer find a property, then you are going to get paid. But guess what? You're not getting paid right away. You might have to wait 2, 3, 4 months depending on the closing. So being able to provide your family an income or have a steady income on a regular basis is very difficult. You have to be able to really manage your money, because when you get paid 2-3 months from now, your next paycheck is again when the next property closes. And as you become more successful, maybe the financial stresses may be alleviated a little bit, but the pressures and the stresses that come with being on everybody's clock is really, really difficult. And that's what many don't understand. As glamorous as being in real estate is, it is really, really tough when, you can't keep up with the phone calls, you can't keep up with the text messages, you can't find what your buyer is looking for, you can't get that seller's property moved, you can't get it sold. It all lays back on you, because one of the things that I found, myself included, is that when we take on a client, we take it personally, and we want to do a good job. I've never met a real estate agent that said, I don't want to do a good job. So they take it personally. And sometimes clients are not very kind with the way they speak to their real estate agents. And there's a lot of things that are out of our control that we get blamed for. The pressure of meeting your sales targets, the fluctuating nature of the housing market, these are things that are out of our control. We cannot control if the interest rates are going up and the housing market is going to slow down. However, it's going to impact us mentally, because we are not going to be selling as many properties. Therefore, we can't provide for our families. And that's another added stress. But here's the thing that it really used to get to me is, I'm expected to put out such a great social media presence and image of myself selling real estate, that I couldn't talk about my stresses. I couldn't talk about my bad days because it was frowned upon. And you would think so many years later that mental health, has been more accepted publicly, has been more accepted by society. The stigma is still there. There's more of an acceptance, but the stigma is still there. And the fear of coming out and talking about, how mentally distraught you are. It's, who do you trust to talk to? The burnout in real estate, the demanding nature of our job, are all factors that contribute, to long working hours, our high client expectations, the emotional toll of dealing with buyers and sellers. And then guess what? You got to come home to your family, and you've got to come home to your kids, and you're going to smile, and you're going to look like you just had the best day of your life, because you don't want to put that burden on them. And many may admit that that's what happens to them, and many may not. I've actually tried to get a couple of agents to be on an episode regarding Mental Health Month, and it was a no. And I get it. It's not easy to be vulnerable on screen and to talk about the stresses that you are facing behind the scenes, because the majority of the time you are not talking about it to the people that are surrounding you. And I think what's really important is building that safe zone around you, and building the friendships and the people that you can rely on, that you can vent to. Because if you don't vent to them, you're going to hold it in, and that's only going to hold you back. I'm not talking about childhood traumas. I'm talking about, this is your day-to-day. This is your livelihood. So allowing mental health to be bottled up is not going to help you move forward. And if you can't move forward, it's just going to keep adding on, because then you're not going to be able to provide for your family. Studies have found that real estate agents face many health challenges, such as anxiety and depression. Many people don't know that, and it's okay. I've faced anxiety and depression for the last 20 years. That is something I'm not ashamed of. You know what? Everybody goes through things in their life, but at the end of the day, it's your support circle. If you've heard the story of my why is what keeps me going every single day. And if you've seen posts on my social media of my kids who are my why, you could tell by the smile on my face that these three beautiful humans are the ones that drive me and lift me up no matter how bad of a day I've had. Your support system and your coping mechanism is so important. And many times real estate agents don't want to reach out to the people that are closest to them, because you feel like you're letting them down. You feel like you don't want to burden them with the stresses that you're going through. I get it. I've been there. I didn't want to come home and vent about how awful my day was, especially if you and your significant others are in different industries. Who are you going to vent to? Your kids, your mom? when they're in a different industry, they don't understand how agitated we get or upset we get or why it's compiling so quickly. I just want you to know from the bottom of my heart, if you have a bad day, you can reach out to me at any given time. I would be happy to stop my day and give you the minutes that you need in order to talk to someone. We all need someone. But you know what I found? I found talking to someone that is completely not associated with my direct circle is more helpful than talking to someone in my circle that is not in the same field, because it only created more problems when we talked about what's going on with my career. Because guess what? The person, your significant other, loves you so much. The first thing they're going to say to you is, I don't want you to go through this. I need you to get out of what you're doing. I need you to go do something else. Money doesn't matter. But here you are, ambitious and wanting to provide a good life for your family and working very hard, and you've got dreams and you've got goals, and it's not about chasing the dollar. It's about being a good provider, and you don't want to let your family down. So how do you walk away and just take on a career that is not going to be able to provide them what you want to provide them? So despite the flexibility that comes with being a real estate agent, there are several factors that contribute to that mental health. You've got your income uncertainty. So real estate agents never know when their next paycheck is going to come. They don't know if it's today. They don't know if it's tomorrow. You know your closing date, but it's also a risk. Not every property, I mean, it's very rare, but not every property is guaranteed to close on that closing day. And sometimes you're financially stretched and you're really needing that money. Again, these are all things that you're keeping inside of you. And you don't want to vent to anyone because you don't want to let anybody down. Your client expectations and the demands of you. You want to be the best there is. You want to be able to service your clients at any given time, answer their phone calls, answer their emails, answer their concerns. You know why you do that? Because you don't want them stressing. You would rather take that stress on yourself than allow your clients to stress. This is the kind of individual you are. However, when bottled up, it's going to start to compile, and there's only so many days that you can push it to the side and ignore how you're feeling inside, because it's not like you're taking the time off regularly. You're working really, really hard, and you can't vent to anybody, and every day rolls into the next day and the next day. And then what? That's when the breakdown happens. That's where you go into your own space and you don't want to see anyone. Don't ever allow yourself to get to that. If you don't have anybody to talk to about what you're going through that day, find a circle or find me. I'll always be readily available to talk to you. The client expectations and the demand of our clients, you know, we all want to do a good job no matter what profession we're in, but we have to set expectations, and you learn that the hard way. I never came into real estate telling my clients, you know, I can be reached between this time and this time. If I don't answer my phone, send me a text message. If it's important, I will call you back. If it's not, I'll provide you an answer at a later time. It takes time. It takes building thick skin, but you can do it. Step by step, building the systems that allow you to get to that level. You can do it. It's not the income level that gets you there. It's the expectations that you set, because you need to have a healthy lifestyle. You need to have a healthy mindset. Competitive markets, this is something that is completely out of our control, like we talked about. Can't control the market, but we are reliant on that market. So if the market is not doing well, our career is struggling. We're constantly trying to be innovative, trying to drive people to our website, to our services, trying to stand out. When you're trying to stand out, how do you reach out for help? How do you allow that circle in? I know it becomes very, very difficult, but always reach out to someone. The emotional labor, yes, there's no physical labor in real estate, but man, the emotional labor absolutely drains you. And There are nights I used to lay in bed. I would be exhausted, ready to fall asleep at 7, 8 o'clock at night. And I would lay in bed and every problem would come to me. There is nothing that I could have done to get those thoughts out of my head. I'm worried about my client. I'm worried about their closing. I'm worried about their inspection. I'm worried about all of it. None of it has to do with my family. But you know who's suffering? Is me and my family, because I take that home. I don't know how to compartmentalize different situations because I am so heavily invested in my clients, and I know that's what you're going through. But in time, I learned how to set the expectations and the boundaries of my clients in a very healthy way that I'll always get back to them. I will always service them and do the best that I can do. But your mental health comes first. Work-life balance is another thing that contributes to our mental health. I am not a believer of work-life balance. I don't believe that you can ever have that. I truly believe that there will always be something that suffers for you to be able to improve on something else. So if you are trying to improve on your business, you are trying to get your business to that next level, your family life might suffer a little bit. Your gym life, your physical health might suffer a little bit because you're so focused on getting your business to that next level. But then when it gets to that next level, and now you have more time on your hands because you've delegated and you put the right people in place, you can focus more on your family and your physical health. There will always be an imbalance when it comes to work life. There will always be an imbalance. Those of you that have figured out to have the perfect balance in everything, I would love to have a conversation with you. And believe it or not, it's isolation. When when consumers or when the public look at real estate agents, we look like the most social group ever. We're constantly doing videos, we're constantly on social media, we are constantly engaging, attending different events. But I've always said this to my friends and my family. I have never felt more lonely than being in real estate. And the reason for that is that you're so social all the time. You're with clients all the time, whether on the phone, in person, showing them properties, planning ahead. And when you're home, you are so exhausted that you don't want to do anything with anyone. You just want that quiet time. And over time, that isolation starts to grow more and more. And even as you start to become more successful, the higher you climb, the lonelier it gets, because people may not be as driven as you that are in your circle. So you start to let people go. And when you let them go, there's a void there because they played a significant part. And you didn't let them go because they weren't important to you. It's just they were holding you back. But that also affects your mental health, and you create an isolation. And that's a mistake that I've done before, where you just stop going out, you stop hanging out with friends, you stop spending time with family because you are just so mentally drained that all you want to do is spend time by yourself. You're also looked at for rejection of failure. Who wants to fail in this business? You know, you're so proud of yourself. When you get into real estate, the first thing real estate agents do is tend to tell all their family and their friends, and this is really important for their career. Go to social media, announce it, keep announcing it over and over and over again. And if you ever get rejected, I've been rejected many, many times. It does not feel good, whether it's the first time or the 10th time or the 100th time. It doesn't feel good because it makes you feel that you're lacking something. You are missing something that somebody else could provide that you couldn't. So what is it? You're racking your brain. What could I have done better to gain that client? You know, I was looking at some statistics online, and I looked up the suicide rate according to World Health Organization and the CDC. And the statistics globally, Canada and the US, men versus women, men tend to commit suicide their suicide rate is 3 times higher than women. And that is so concerning to me. Again, I'm very blessed to have the opportunity to travel the country and see agents from coast to coast. But what saddens me is when I meet those agents that have absolutely no one to talk to. And you can see the sadness and you can see the stress in their eyes, and it breaks my heart. The suicide rate is outrageous. And sometimes it could be the person sitting right next to you, and you just don't know what they're going through. We're quick to be envious. We're quick to see the clothes that they're wearing, the cars that they're driving, the watches that they're wearing. But we never stop to think that that person driving the Ferrari could be thinking of, just want to drive it over the edge. Or that person in a suit saying to themselves, never want to go home again. It's really sad what you see out there. The more people that you meet, the more you get to know what their thought process is. And I just want you to know, if you've made it to the end of this episode, I'm here for you at any given time. I've walked your path. I've gone through the stresses. There are days it's defeated me so badly I never wanted to do it for another day. I wanted to lay in bed and not see anyone again. But you find your strength, and you find your strength by building on your why. And that's what keeps you going. And that's what keeps you driven and looking forward to that next day. Not saying to you that you're going to wake up happy the next day. I'm saying to you, if you can make it to the next day and the next and the next, you are taking those baby steps to a better, more stable mental health, and you're able to deal with difficult situations. They're never going to become easy. There will always be stress in everything that you do. But one thing you do learn along the way is how to manage the stress better, how to deal with certain situations better. It took a lot to get me to where I am today. I'm proud of what I've gone through. I'm happy that I went through it. It's a learning experience for me. I'm fortunate that I came out and that, I can focus on my why, and I can keep going every single day, and the drive is there. But that doesn't mean it's every day. I tell my kids all the time, if every day was a happy day, you will never ever appreciate it. It's the bad days that make you appreciate the good days. And that's what I've lived by. You're never going to be perfect. No one's ever going to be perfect. But what you can perfect is your mindset as much as possible. You can perfect your skill set to allow you to deal with the stresses around you. And you can perfect your outreach to people that actually care about you and want to see you get better. Their focus is not on you financially. Their focus is on you emotionally. My friends, I tell you again, if you need anything, I am always readily available to take time out of my day and listen to you. Thank you so much for being with me today, and I wish you all the best.